Hey everybody, welcome to Exiled Opinions. How's it going, Doku? How's it going, Shirati? How the fuck are we doing tonight?
No, I'm fucking delightful.
Awesome.
Apparently I'm Shirati Bork now.
You're Shirati aboard?
With me.
Okay. Well...
Yep, she seeks to assimilate us all.
Damn.
She's living in her cube.
Yeah, so tonight is kind of a special stream. It was not a stream I was planning. Wife and I were on date night, so we weren't going to do a stream tonight. But I figured since we're doing a stream tonight, we'll stream to Dodge's channel as well, help him get a little bit more viewership while he's away. Dodge, come back to us safe and sound, if you will, please. But
stay buried in this fucking snowbank.
Yeah, he's buried in a snowbank. So there are a couple of things to talk about tonight. Which we'll go through. Shirati had a thing she wanted to bring up if she hasn't brought it up already on Dodge's channel. But we have a couple of things to talk about tonight. The first of which that I wanted to address is, and as soon as I get it up on screen here, is the whole Rotten Tomatoes back and forth between YouTubers like Mecha Random and World Class Bullshitters and some of the shill outlets who were talking about, oh, well, you know, Rotten Tomatoes is coming to save the day and save Captain Marvel from all them damn trolls. And that's simply not the case. So we're looking here at the Rotten Tomatoes blog. I'm going to read the entirety of this thing. I want everyone to be informed, and I'm going to explain something to everyone as we go through. But before we go through this, I want everyone to know that the Rotten Tomatoes drinking game will be happening tomorrow night. We hadn't planned on doing the stream tonight. I was planning, you know, my wife and I were planning on having a long night out, but things kind of ended early, so we came home, and this is kind of like an extra stream. So, I don't know if we're going to do Captain Marvel tomorrow because there's still a review embargo. So we're going to have to look for something else. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
Yeah, we won't be able to do it until after opening day, it looks like. So that'll be next Friday. Definitely next Friday.
Ace says, stop informing me. I don't want to be intelligent.
All right. So here we're looking at the Rotten Tomatoes blog. They're talking about the changes they're making. So I'm going to run through this as quickly as we can. It's a pretty short article on their editorial.rottentomatoes.com. So this was posted on February 25th, so a few days ago, about 5 days ago at this point. And it goes, today we're excited to start our product update blog, which will allow us to keep you informed of changes and updates on Rotten Tomatoes over the past 18 months. We've made a number of updates at Rotten Tomatoes, all in an effort to streamline the site and provide users with a more enriched experience. These updates include the launch of a new visual identity. You didn't hate the red anymore, right? The creation of the new editorial, video, and social content. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and a revamped Tomato Meter critics criteria that better reflects the current media landscape, increases inclusion, and fully serves the global entertainment audience. We're proud of what we accomplished, but let's get to what you really want to hear about. Starting this week, Rotten Tomatoes will launch the first of several phases of updates that will refresh and modernize our audience rating system. We're doing it more accurately and authentically represent the voice of our fans while protecting our data and public forums from bad actors. As of February 25th, we will no longer show the want to see percentage score, and I'm highlighting here, for a movie during its pre-release period. Why, you might ask? We found that the want to see percentage score is oftentimes confused with the audience score percentage number. The audience score percentage, for those who haven't been following, is a percentage of all users who have rated the movie or TV show positively, that is, given it a star rating of 3.5 or higher, and is only shown once the movie or TV show is released. What you will now see at the top of a movie or TV page once it has been released is this, and there's a graphic that shows you what the ratings actually are. Ooh, I am out of breath. I need to take a breath. What else are we doing? Yeah, what else are we doing? We're disabling comment function prior to a movie's release date. Unfortunately, we've seen an uptick in non-constructive input, sometimes bordering on trolling. Not necessarily trolling, but bordering on trolling, which we believe is a disservice to our general readership. We have decided that turning off this feature for now is the best course of action. Don't worry though, fans will still get to have their say. Once a movie is released, audiences can leave a user rating and comments as they always have. Last but not least, you will notice we are making some layout changes to the site. Through our research department, we have learned that our users would prefer a cleaner, less cluttered presentation of the Tomato Meter and audience score. Don't worry, the information and data are still there, promise. We hope you enjoy these changes. Please leave feedback in the comment section below. We are taking notes. Thanks for reading, and we'll all see you at the movies. Whew. All right, so to put this in contrast, here is Captain Marvel. As you can see, the Tomato Meter, no reviews. Audience score, no reviews. Want to see is still there, but it is not presented as a percentage. It's not presented as this many people want to see the movie versus this many people. It tells you exactly how many people want to see it, exactly how many people are that have come to the site, that have clicked on want to see it, that have registered, that state, okay, there are 20,827 users on Rotten Tomatoes that have accounts that want to see the movie. This has no impact on anything in terms of the reviews, right?
Well, to put it simply, they basically just took away the not interested feature.
Right.
You can't leave a reason as to why you want to see it or why you're not interested in it.
Right.
You can't do that anymore. They just simply gave you a button. They gave you a like button and took away the dislike button. They pulled a theoretical YouTube.
Ace of Skull says, "Here is Captain No Ass." You mean yes, Captain No Ass.
Yeah. Captain Booty Double.
But here's the long and short of it. Captain Marvel was being propped up as this big feminist propaganda movie or feminist activism movie, whichever side of the fence you want to look at it. The media outlets have come out of the woodwork to say things like, let's just do a quick Google search of
well, so I'm going to stand by what I say.
Captain Marvel. And
I'm going to stand by what I said earlier, though. I really don't think this movie is going to be the great activism thing that all the the NPCs think it is, and I don't think it's going to be this horrible SJW dumpster fire like everybody else thinks it's going to be. I think that's basically just the people involved running their mouths on Twitter and the House of Mouse not fucking getting their ducks in a row and letting all their minions run wild.
But the places like comicbook.com, right? We've got an article up here. I just wanted to do a quick Google search so you guys know that I wasn't like trying to mislead anyone in the audience. Captain Marvel review bombers have dropped Rotten Tomato audience rating to lowest in MCU. This change over here, this change that we see on this graphic on the screen right now, is because of people like Comic Book, like Adam Bernhardt, and other individuals who have taken to have taken the want to see rating as an actual review. Right? They are about as brain dead as a box full of rocks. And that is even insulting to the box of rocks. And this has been happening.
That's insulting to both cardboard and rocks.
It is. And it's an insult that I levy against, let's say, both sides. Right? You've got people like Mecha Random. You've got people like World Class Bullshitters. I'm not going to call out Yellow Flash specifically because I haven't seen anything from him as concerning this, but things that he has done is similar to what's going on here. As much as I like these guys, I'm holding them to the same standards I'm holding the other side of the board. Right?
Of the Borg? Sure. Shirati, are you going to answer for this?
Fuck off!
All right, no more Borg jokes on Shirati. No more, okay?
Just it was so much.
Be nice, Doku, you dickhead.
I don't want to be nice.
But this is why the Rotten Tomatoes thing was changed. Now, is the timing a little suspicious? I don't think it is, because this has been happening for forever, since as long as Rotten Tomatoes has been running the audience wants to see score and the audience percentage. Again, they're not running it as a percentage, as highlighted here. They're not running it as a percentage anymore, but you can still see, and this is exact numbers of how many people that are signed up for Rotten Tomatoes wants to see it.
See, I'm actually going to disagree there. I do think it is suspicious. I think it's very convenient, especially
it's convenient, right, but causation doesn't necessarily equate to correlation.
I mean, I can understand that. I'm going out on a limb and just putting out a personal opinion. I think it's suspicious, and I do think there is a relation between these two.
Fucking shit up is what they're doing.
They're fucking everything up, and I think...
Well, if it wasn't going to be Captain Marvel, Rotten Tomatoes would have done this. Another movie would have come along, and I can understand the reasoning behind it. I'm not going to completely take a dump on Rotten Tomatoes. I will point my finger, like I said earlier. I will point my finger at Disney, but I'm also going to point my finger at journalists, and I'll even point the finger at us, too, because we cover this kind of stuff, and we feed the quote outrage from time to time, and really the that not interested versus want to see whole debacle is really just a backlash and a side effect of the culture war, and it's people going back and forth with each other, and I can see why Rotten Tomatoes would do it.
Right.
I don't agree with it, but I can understand why.
I don't like the direction they took, but they did it for the good of the community of Rotten Tomatoes. I am tired of people mischaracterizing it and labeling it as, oh, well, the trolls had lost, or they're them nasty trolls, or the other side of the fence is, oh, well, they just want to silence the dissidents and people having an opinion. No. You're fucking brain dead if you think that's the case.
Honestly, I just think Rotten Tomatoes got fucking tired of being brought up as kind of the arbiter of, whether or not this movie is going to be great or whether or not it's going to be horrible. It kind of damages their reputation when they do something like that.
You know what the biggest problem is?
It's more fun that way.
What's that, Shirati?
I said it's more fun that way.
Yeah, but the biggest problem
is more fun.
The biggest problem is that the people have, and I hate to sound like Stalin or anything, but the people have propped Rotten Tomatoes up on a giant fucking pedestal. We have put as a collective society, we've put Rotten Tomatoes up on this giant fucking pedestal, and we've expected it to be bigger than what it is when it's just a fucking review aggregate. And they've had to take steps, and I think it's reached a fevered pitch. I think because of Captain Marvel, and I think because of places like comicbook.com and other outlets, other shill review outlets, they've had to put this in place. And I think, yes, it is partly because Captain Marvel's coming out. And I think, yes, partly it's because of the Disney review embargo on Captain Marvel. But I don't think that Rotten Tomatoes is doing anything nefarious here.
I think they're just doing it because they don't want to get fucking sued.
They don't want to be caught in the middle. And they just want to be seen as a review aggregate.
Well, and again, like I said, the whole backlash you saw with the percentage thing, it really is a backlash against fucking big mouth jackasses like Brie Larson or fucking CBR or the Mary Sue and all these fucking hack shill journalists that fucking write for them.
It definitely
That's
is.
what the backlash was from.
When we saw the want to see percentage score dropping further and further almost on a daily basis, it plummeted like a fucking stone out of a 747.
I mean, it was fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. I mean, when you're jackasses like us, we turn it into a fucking game because we never took Rotten Tomatoes seriously at all. I mean, look at some of these fucking journalists that are like, top critics or all of this stuff, and look at some of the stuff they say. Like, they're fucking garbage. Rotten Tomatoes is just an aggregate.
Ace of Skulls says the biggest problem is that Rotten Tomatoes forced their own leftist opinions on great movies, and now they're feeling the backlash. Rotten Tomatoes has been shit since day one. Well, okay, I don't agree with that entirely. I agree that Rotten Tomatoes does have a sort of leftist slant to them. I will agree to that. I don't know exactly how far that slant is, because we're in the business of pretty much taking the piss out of any review on there.
Yes,
be it.
But I'm going to interrupt you for a minute because I just got a text from my husband saying that he's leaving work early, so I'm getting out of here.
All right, take it easy, Shirati. Have fun. Have a great night.
All right, Shirati. Have a good one.
Yeah, see ya. Bye.
Later.
Later, Shirati. To touch on that though, Shandor, I'm sorry to interject. Yes, Rotten Tomatoes does have a left-leaning slant. And they will go through and remove certain reviews that, in their
I'm not saying they have it, and I'm not
trollish.
saying they don't. I'm just saying...
Well, the bigger problem to point out is when it comes to media and journalism, they're all left-leaning.
No, they are.
It's just how far to the left do you lean?
They are. Okay,
it's unescapable.
Here's the deal. The deal is I agree that Rotten Tomatoes has a leftist slant. I agree that Rotten Tomatoes does have this slant. And I believe, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't believe they're doing anything nefarious here. I believe that they are doing that they're doing this because they're on a leftist slant. They don't want to be caught in the "you're a bigot" crosshairs. But at the same time, hold on, Doku. Hang on, Doku. But they're also using the very leftist slant to put this in place. And they figure this is the most center-left thing I think they can think of. So...
they're shit in the bed because... you don't... If you're a site like Rotten Tomatoes, this is not a position you want to find yourself in. I mean, even when we were taking the piss out of Captain Marvel a few weeks ago, I don't think either of us just expected it was going to drop below a 40% or so. And then look at what the hell happened. So yeah, they're going to shit the bed. They're going to do something like this. And it does make the site look biased as all hell. It's not a good look for them. But if you try to think of it from the perspective of Rotten Tomatoes, what are you going to do? You're going to piss off the House of Mouse? That's not a good idea. You're going to piss off the people that actually give positive reviews to these kind of things? You don't want to do that. Like, this is kind of the most, I guess, like you said, sort of center-left They're not going to change their
Right.
bias, but this is probably
This is the
I can
least
understand why they
biased
think-
thing that they can think of. I mean, I personally would think of better ways to handle the situation, like not even giving a shit, just letting nature take its course and letting these outlets further cannibalize each other.
Yeah, but of course, Rotten Tomatoes, they're not going to do that. Yeah, they feel like they have to take action, like because let's be honest, a lot of these sites, like the Mary Sue, CBR, even Polygon, Kotaku, Rotten Tomatoes,
Yeah.
there is this activist mentality that's inherently built into them, so they feel like they have to do something. So, do I think it's stupid? Yes, it's really stupid. It's not a good look, and it's just going to give people a bigger excuse when the movie actually does drop. You think you've seen review bombs because people are fucking saying Brie Larson is a loudmouth idiot, or all the people who don't want to see this movie are women haters? You think that was bad from the want to see thing? Imagine when the actual review bombs come out on this movie, and they're not even going to be talking about the movie. They're going to be talking about you, Rotten Tomatoes. This was really stupid. Now you are directly in the crosshairs because you shit the bed.
No, they did shit the bed. And I mean, this is as left-leaning publications go, as left-leaning aggregate sites go, it's not Metacritic. Metacritic is not going out of its way to entirely shape the way reviews are put out. It's not going out of its way to entirely shape the conversations we're having around these movies, whereas Metacritic does. And I can applaud them for trying to stay as center as possible.
Well, and see, that's the problem with this decision by Rotten Tomatoes, is you guys now just acknowledge the problem that everybody was already kind of talking about in the first place. I mean, there's a reason we turned Rotten Tomatoes into a drinking game. They are biased. That is undeniable. And they are left-leaning. That is undeniable. But you just put a gigantic bullseye on your back.
Mm-hmm.
Because now everybody, instead of just pointing and laughing at fucking Captain Marvel, now they're going to be pointing and laughing at you. And that's why you're seeing people like World Class Bullshitters, Geeks and Gamers, Yellow Flash, us, we've done it. We can't deny it.
No, we have. Yeah,
But
we've
now-
fed it.
But now we're not talking about Captain Marvel. We're talking directly about you, Rotten Tomatoes, and your bullshit decision to do this. You thought the trolls were bad in the first place because it looks boring, or Brie Larson needs a booty double. Haha. Now
I
it's
could-
like, okay, Rotten Tomatoes,
Yeah.
you've made yourself the target. This
All
was
right.
dumb.
All right, so we've got Ace of Skulls joining the stream. How's it going, Ace?
Fucking is old push to talk bullshit going on, or could you hear me?
You're good.
Hey, no, you're good, dude.
Fucking outstanding. Okay, so with the whole fucking Rotten Tomatoes thing, right?
Yeah, go
So-
for it, dude.
One of the things they first built their platform on was it wasn't just fucking critics. It was the fact that they were building off of individuals' actual criticisms of the fucking movie.
Right.
Now they've removed that from the sphere, and you could definitely see the fucking bias. Like, so it doesn't matter whether they're right or left, right? You got to take fucking individual bias. You go, okay, yeah, some people may like it, some people may not.
Right.
But
That's just the nature
you-
of movies and art.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even especially like with comedy, like you'll see that with comedy. A lot of people do not like fucking comedy because
Right.
they'll bring up something like a fucking rape joke. Oh no, you can't bring that up. Like, yes, you can. Like,
Even
it's
comedic
so-
movies. You look at comedic movies. I thought Funny People was funny as hell, but it was a dumb as shit movie. Other people are like, yeah, it was so great because it was so funny. Okay. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's very subjective. And that's one of the reasons why at first I did kind of like Rotten Tomatoes, because they took the collective as the individual,
Mhm.
the individual who was watching the movie and the critic and looking at it. And then over time you could definitely see the bias of like, oh no, we're not gonna really look at the individual. We're gonna go more with the critic of the left leaning and like that bullshit.
Right.
Like,
They're definitely okay. Like I said, Rotten Tomatoes definitely does things with a leftist slant. And this is done like as a leftist. You know, this if I were still like in that mindset, in that hive mind mindset, because let's be honest, I was there at one point. I was an ideologic, stupid fucking teenager who saw like the right as being evil and just heads up their asses. But then I realized it's just that's just what human beings are. But they do things with a leftist slant, and like I said, this is just them doing something as not lefty as possible, even though it's still a leftist move on their part.
But what my point is, I guess, when it really comes down to it, is the idea that they're degrading that free speech aspect, where they're taking away that individual's voice.
No, because that's still there. You can still comment on the movie after it's been released. The only thing that they've disabled is being able to comment on a movie before it's being released. And that's something they don't even let the critics do. I mean, yeah, the critics get to voice their opinions a little earlier because they have access to the movie earlier. They've already seen it.
And I'm looking at it from what they used to have to what they have now.
Right. What they have now is definitely like a step back. It's a reining in of... And like I said, this is definitely a lefty type move. This is something that they deem is the least lefty of things that they can do, even though it's really lefty. How's it going, Epileptic Insomniac? Welcome to the show. But that's my stance, is that this doesn't reek like we've seen of other outlets. This doesn't reek of we're doing something nefarious. It's a desperate move on their part to try and stay out of the line of fire.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to pull the middle ground of like, we want to see both sides of it, but here's us trying to, kind of pull even on it.
Right.
They want to show, even just looking at the coming soon, the scores for Triple Frontier, The Kid, I'm Not Here, those are all disabled as well. I'm still not sure why Gloria Bell isn't, and it's at a 100%. So maybe that's a glitch or something, or maybe somebody
could be that they
conveniently overlooked it.
It could be that they just haven't actually put it in place across their entire site yet.
Well, that's possible as well.
I don't know how their system works. It does seem strange. Unless it's a Rotten Tomatoes like exclusive movie or something where they paid to have it made. That would be the only thing I can think of.
It is an indie film in a limited release, so that
might
could
have
be something to play into it.
That could be it, yeah. But
I will say the audience score is disabled as well. And
right.
Yeah.
But like I said, this is definitely them being on the left side of the wall, right? They're on the left side of the fence, and this is as far to the center as they can get without having the cannons being fired on them.
Right, without them actually having to pick a actual side.
No, they've picked a side, and this is definitely a leftist move, but they want to still be... They still want to be used by the majority, right? They still want to get as many people in.
I'll slightly disagree, because they're picking... they're not really picking a side. They're not picking left or right. Yes, they do have leftist-leaning opinions, but they're not going to really suppress either side. Let whoever make their comments, and it is what it is. Let people make their own decisions.
Right.
On how. So they're picking a nice middle ground, which is nice on them. It's very fucking beautiful. You could find both opinions, and you could move on from it from there.
Right.
However you feel about it.
Well, and also another thing you have to keep in mind is because Rotten Tomatoes it's not the Wall Street Journal, it's not Slate, it's not the Chicago Sun-Times, it's not Hollywood Reporter. They're an aggregate site. They don't really have their own reviewers. So if a lot of these critics, quote unquote, start taking a shit on Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, that's not good for them. That would be a really
No,
bad
it's
thing.
career suicide for the critics to start railing on Rotten Tomatoes, because then we'll know.
Well, it also could come back to bite Rotten Tomatoes in the ass.
I doubt it'll-
If they tried to pull something different.
I doubt it'll bite
is a
Rotten
very
Tomatoes
much
in the ass. They'll try and placate the critics just so that the critics continue to use. But they know this is me, right? This is me believing that they know that the people who make their site are the average people, is the community as a whole, right? Everyone who uses Rotten Tomatoes as an aggregate, as far as the common man and not the critic, that's what people are going to Rotten Tomatoes for. They don't really give two squirts of piss about the critic scores anymore. I think, when was the last time anyone took a critic score, like, for anything,
Shandor,
worth anything?
Shandor, that's not my point. My point is, if the critics start shitting on Rotten Tomatoes, it would, to a degree, it would be career suicide for them, but I highly doubt the Hollywood Reporter or the New York Times or Slate gives too much of a shit about Rotten Tomatoes. But just because of the hive mind mentality of the people who actually still do give a shit about these critic scores, despite how insanely biased they are, let's be generous and say it's 30%. Rotten Tomatoes, like any other aggregate website, is still dependent on web traffic.
I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is that my belief, and I want to believe this, is that Rotten Tomatoes knows that the community makes up the website, and if the critics, the shill media, wanted to just started bashing Rotten Tomatoes for simply being an aggregate, then Rotten Tomatoes doesn't really have anything to lose. It's like, whatever, because we, the consumer, don't really give a shit about what the critics think. We, the consumer, care more about and make our decisions based on what the other average viewer thinks.
And that's why I'm saying this is Rotten Tomatoes kind of looking out for their own ass.
Right.
Well, okay. It seems like this was a long time coming in my aspect.
Oh, no, it definitely has been.
Yeah, so it seemed like they had more of the critics' ideology, because what they built themselves off of was, this is a source for every man and every woman, every fucking tranny, whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. I don't give a shit. But everybody who wants to fucking comment, review something, fucking about a movie, come here, fuck it, and we'll base those scores off of whatever, and we'll have a average of it, and you could work off of that and move forward, and really have your own opinion about if you want to watch it, or if you really have a great opinion about it, then you'll review it. And so they did that for both the average man, woman, fucking tranny, fucking LGBT, fucking times 23 fucking person, and the critics. Now, if, like Doku was saying, if the fucking critics start to backlash on it, you'll start to see a revert of where they're not just disabling the comments, they're giving the average person that power versus the critic. And this is a power struggle that we're seeing in real time. We're watching it fucking go down, because it can go either way. And it's actually really fucking interesting to watch.
Oh, yeah, it is. But with that being said, I think we can move on to the next topic, because we've been on this for about a half an hour now, and
yeah, I think we've railed on it long enough.
Yeah, we don't have any new information to share, and I think we're all pretty much in agreement that this is not the worst thing that a leftist publication has done. This is actually showing progress on their part, in my opinion, that they're just trying to stay out of line of fire. They don't want to stir up any extra bullshit than what's necessary. And the extra bullshit that we're seeing is coming from the left and the right, talking about, well, this is Disney shutting up this is Rotten Tomatoes shutting up them trolls, from both sides. This is the misrepresentation.
To surmise it in actually a little bit more of a concise way. Worst case scenario, this is Rotten Tomatoes kicking the can down the road. or no, sorry, best case scenario, this is Rotten Tomatoes kicking the can down the road because it's only going to take for Captain Marvel to release, and you'll see the same thing.
Yeah.
No,
Or-
no. Toku, don't lie. This is just kicking the can down the road, going, don't look at Spider-Man's ass. Look at Captain Marvel's.
All right. So the next
worst case for them, they just created an entire new shitstorm that they probably don't want, nor do they need.
Yeah,
But
we can
that's
get
all I
in.
have to say.
We can get in at another time, I think. But the next story we have is a little bit of this is rumor. This is definitely rumor. I want everyone to know that this is rumor. Do not walk away from the stream thinking that this is fact. Do not walk away from the stream thinking that this is me saying, "Hey guys, this is happening. This is the thing." The rumor is Disney might be shutting down Marvel Comics. This is from Cosmic Book News. And the story goes as follows. The comic book industry is presently said to be in a state of collapse. And following the recent news of troubles within DC Comics, now it is being speculated Disney may actually be considering shutting down Marvel Comics. Speculation about problems within Marvel Comics comes from a press release issued by the company where Marvel Comic Chief Creative Officer Joe Quesada and Editor-in-Chief CB Sivlinsky are attending the upcoming SXSW, where the pair will be hosting a panel and putting it forth how Marvel Comics is responsible for the success in other markets, such as film, TV, video games, and merchandise, titled Marvel From Comics to Screens. The hour-long panel will look at how some of Marvel's most iconic characters and storylines have contributed to games, movies, television series that are so renowned among pop culture. Everything starts with an idea, and Marvel Comics is the spark that lights the fire. The press release states, even though they're losing money, is still a good idea because it is the inspiration for markets that do make money, such as Kevin Feige's insanely popular MCU. Regarding the comic book market, Marvel Comics being in a state of collapse, a retailer summit was recently held which saw comic book store owner Brian Hibbs offer the industry is nearly on its knees and pointed to Marvel as the main culprit. National sales are very poor. There are comics in the national top 100 that aren't even selling 20,000 copies. A significant number of stores have closed. Perhaps as many as 10% of outlets, Hibbs said. Want a clear and current example of Marvel's preposterous flood the zone strategy? War of the Realms is supposed to be the major Q2 project in 2019, but in the first month alone, they're asking us to buy into 2 issues of the series being released with no sales data, as well as 4 different tie-in miniseries. All 6 of these comics, which are built around a 6-issue storyline, will require final orders from us before we've sold a single comic to an actual reader. Is there anyone in this room who thinks this is good? That this is sustainable? That this will sell more comics to more readers? That this will sell any copies to people who aren't already on board Marvel's periodicals already? While it's currently just speculation that Disney would shut down Marvel Comics, worth a mention is that it could possibly be one day Disney decides to simply license out the characters and stop publishing altogether. Disney CEO Bob Iger, in an investor's call, recently said the company isn't going to bother producing video games in-house because they feel it isn't worth it. Perhaps that could be the fate of Marvel comic book industry. So, I'm not going to read this last paragraph, but what do you guys think? We'll start with Ace. What do you think, Ace?
Here's my problem. Okay, so what they're not really bringing up is the comics that tie in the different movies, right? So in each movie in the MCU, you have comics that will tie in what's going on into the next movie that they're releasing in the MCU. And not only that, you have a lot of parents that, like me, I'm 31 years old.
Mhm.
I was raised on Batman, fucking, the old Ant-Man, fucking, goddamn fucking Thor, all those comics. Like, comics were the way that I honestly learned to fucking read. Like, I'm a horrible fucking reader. But that's how I learned to fucking read, because it drew that creative mind for me. And with my kids, who are now 7, 6, and 4 years old, they're starting to go, they've gained that interest of like, oh, Batman, fucking Thor, fucking Iron Man, and they're really gaining that interest. So comics are a really good way to get kids into just reading. So when they go 20,000, I don't believe that. It's really unconvincing to me, because okay, if you want to say there's only 20,000 people who are buying comics, let's be honest about this. All right, how many fucking nerdy people do you know who are in the military? A lot. And out of those,
almost everybody I know, actually.
yeah. So, and out
Because
of
there isn't
all
much
those,
else to do. I mean, when you look at a comic book and you look at how portable a comic book is, you can take it anywhere and read it on the go with you.
yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. It breeds that creative mind. It builds a whole storyboard in your mind, and like it gives it back and forth. It's a movie in a fucking 10-page fucking book. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
It provides
And
a
so-
really nice escape, assuming it's escapist art.
Well, no. So to me personally, like the whole escape thing versus just diving into the world, and
Well, that's what
a whole
escapism is. It's diving into the story.
that's a whole different subject. But my point is, like, they try to bring up 20,000, and they top the number off at 20,000, and they didn't go higher than that. Well, we have over 20,000 people in the fucking military, and over 20,000 people who are married and have kids. Well, a lot of us fucking nerds fucking have kids, and we watch things like the MCU and even the DCU, and like fucking even me, like I fucking built my son a fucking dresser that has fucking Aquaman, Batman, Robin, fucking Captain America on each different drawer. So fucking he loves comics. Like that's one of the ways I introduce him into reading. So you can't sit here and say that fucking people aren't reading comics like that.
No, they're
because-
not buying comics. That's the thing. Is
Oh yeah, they are. They are. But it doesn't. It's more of a third party sale than it is a first party. And I
Well,
guess that's really where they're looking at. Of I'm selling this. I'm writing it. I'm selling it to this major company, and then you're going to buy it directly from them. It's more of a third or fourth party sale where they're not taking that into consideration.
all the sales get
And I-
tracked.
I can actually break this down fairly well because I've been following it. But no, what they're directly referring to in this article is when you're looking at the sales numbers, they're talking about ongoing series. They're not talking about graphic novels. They're not talking about someone who's going to go pick up Days of Future Past. They're talking about Diamond sales numbers Diamond sales numbers in regards to what a comic shop has actually bought, and that's what the owner mentioned. Is just because you see these sales numbers, these LCSs, local comic shops, they have to commit to buying these issues, especially if they want to keep Diamond as a distributor, which Diamond's the only distributor, so you kind of have to. That's what's sitting on the shelf. This is how Nick Spencer, the guy who did Secret Empire, that god-awful Captain America special event story, they call him Thick Spencer because there'd be 10, 20 issues of these books sitting on the shelves because nobody was buying it because it was a crap story. And despite the fact this being a rumor, it's not really far-fetched. There's already a lot of evidence out there to actually support this. I mean, Umbrella Guy loves to break down numbers. Hasbro's numbers from Star Wars are horrible. World Class Bullshitters went through and did stuff on this as well, looking at how many the clearance bin, how many Star Wars figures there were compared to wrestling figures. And Marvel has already licensed out characters. I believe it was IDW, but they now have their own Avengers, Black Panther, and Spider-Man series that are geared towards kids that are published under IDW. So
Right.
it would be very probable that Marvel might go ahead and cut some of the fat and license out these characters to other companies and let them start publishing.
To be
'Cause-
honest, I don't think it's a far reach either because of they've already done shit like this in the past. They've already scuttled other things that they've acquired. Day one Disney, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. Day one Disney, as soon as they bought LucasArts, what was the first thing they did? The first thing they did was scuttle LucasArts, right?
And for those that you ever listening, he's using scuttle as another term for whore.
No, scuttle means to close down, to
I
shut
know.
shut out.
They hoard out multiple things of LucasArts. You cannot deny that.
I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
they
they
did
haven't.
license.
They
licensed out a
licensed
lot of
everything
stuff.
to EA. They didn't do
Quote,
anything.
unquote.
They didn't keep.
And ironically enough, also to Marvel Publishing.
Yeah,
but
they didn't
on
keep
the
anything in
comic-
house in LucasArts. So I honestly this might be a rumor, but I do see merit in the rumor. It's one of those it could be probable things.
Okay, but on the same time, on the comics issue, right, is straight up with the comic books. Let's say Doku, they straight up go, hey, I want you to be the straight seller for this and whatnot, and it's not working out for him. And then I buy out his fucking business because it's not working out for him. They don't fucking approach me. He fucking goes out of business. And I resell them at a fucking second rate. And this is where I was talking about that it's not the first or second line, it's the third or fourth line down the line where they're reselling and rebuying the comics and selling them out.
Well, that only goes so far down the line.
But-
What we're talking about is new
but-
books. Hang on, guys. What we're talking about is new books, and these new books are being. There's a very direct chain. And there is no other way to do this unless you're talking digital. And even digital sales are slow. The only way right now that comic books are distributed to comic book stores is that they come in through Diamond. Diamond is the only comic book distributor right now. They're the only one. And
And that's why these sales numbers are so skewed. Because what you see what the comic shops have bought. That doesn't mean that consumers have come in and bought these books.
right.
And the reason you see all these comic stores closing down so much is because
They can't sell
there
the
is a
books.
quota. Yeah,
Right.
there's a quota set by Diamond where these comic shops have to buy a certain amount, otherwise they can't use the distributor. I mean, you can't even get graphic novels at that point in time because Diamond's the only way you can get it. So unless
Right.
you're opening a comic store that exclusively gets its product from, say, like eBay,
as
which will put you out of business even quicker,
right.
those
As,
sales numbers aren't end user sales.
as
That's
an-
just what the comic shops are buying.
As a supporting
Thank-
anecdote, the
Thank you, Doku, for making my retarded words into a logical sense.
No, I knew what you were trying to say because it's often misquoted in a lot of these, a lot of the articles that try to push
Right.
this stuff. I mean, Bleeding Cool is horrible about it.
Yeah.
These aren't end user sales. This is pretty much the reason these numbers are so low. This is what's required by the comic shops to purchase, just so
Just
they
to
can
stay
keep using
afloat.
the only Yeah, just because
Well,
Diamond's the only distributor.
The great middle ground
Here's-
between what you guys were talking about is the digital media and what's actually in print. Like that's a big that middle ground has not been met yet. Like with internet, with fucking
But
newspapers, all
comic
that.
book shops don't have access to selling digital copies because it would cost them way too much to sell a digital $2 copy. The way that it works for digital distribution is they're usually about half of what a paper comic is. And a comic shop cannot keep up with the volume of selling you the digital copy. I've already talked to comic book stores about that. So the
Well,
only
I
way
mean,
to do
but-
that is to go directly to like Marvel and get your Marvel books. But
let's
as
be honest. Let's be honest. Like, are you going to walk into a comic book store and see a bunch of tablets and want to buy that and then transfer it into your fucking Fire or tablet
I
or
mean,
whatever? the
my
fuck?
local comic shop sells video game stuff. They sell toy stuff just to stay in business.
Well, no, I'm
They've been
saying like
suffering because
it-
of the comic book sales outside
saying-
of back issues.
the difference between the print media versus the digital media, right?
No, I know what you're
That-
saying. I'm just using an example to state that a comic book shop could very well benefit from loading up a tablet and selling you a tablet with an extra surcharge of preloading a whole bunch of digital comics on there. Even if they wanted to, and this is shady AF, but even if they wanted to scan their own comics in store and sell you at a discounted rate the scanned in comic and do it that way and stay in business that way, they could, but it would be really expensive for them to do so. But
Well, and
back
also,
on the
Ain't-
diamond
Ain't
thing,
Jack in the chat. Ain't Jack in the chat also brought up a really good point, and this is undeniably Marvel is the worst culprit of this, hands down, undeniable. Now comics, because of the low sales, the prices are getting hiked up. And I mean, $5. I think now a Marvel comic, just a standard issue, would be $6. Some
Yeah.
of the special ones get as expensive as $10. And I even have one of these from 2 or so years ago. The quality of the product is absolute horrible. It's atrocious. The paper is thin. If you tried to toss it in the back seat of your car, the cover would rip off the damn thing, and you'd have ink on your hands. But they're still charging you $10 for it.
so
That's why
back,
you go with DC now.
but back to the diamond thing, just as a supporting anecdote to the diamond thing. Diamond is the only card game distributor in the Midwest. I don't know how it is in other places. I just don't know how it operates with card distributors.
It's the same here on the East Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm in the Tennessee, Kentucky area, and it's the same thing out here.
Okay. So Diamond is the only trading card game distributor that's out there, right? They're the only player in the game. As a result, sales for a game I used to play have plummeted. It still apparently has some life into it. I'm not going to say what it is, but apparently it still has some life in it. But they only ship to the stores that can afford like 5-6 cases of the stuff. We're talking cases. This is 6 bricks in a case. Each brick is one booster box, right?
I know this
Well,
might be
it's
kind of random, but how did the shutdown of Toys R Us affect this as well?
Diamond can't
Well,
send
that was-
stuff to Toys R Us.
and that was also the Toys R Us thing was more of a crap. Why am I blanking on the term? Damn it, Shandor! I'm supposed to be a fucking writer on the side here, and I can't fucking use my words.
Well, I mean,
properly.
if we're talking about playing
Toys
cards,
R
we're
Us-
also
Toys
We're
R Us
also
was
talking
also
about Pokemon,
responsible. Yeah, Toys R Us was also responsible for selling comic books. Toys R Us had a pretty large comic book section for a toy store, at least for a while, and they never sold.
I remember
a
it was it's a byproduct of Walmart, Target, things like that. Like
right,
no.
people
that-
only go to
that's
Toys R Us
actually-
exclusively for that.
right.
Toys R Us actually closed down a lot in part because of things like Amazon online retail.
Right, they couldn't keep up with the market because they
Yeah,
refused to evolve with the market. They basically what happened to Toys R Us is what happened to Blockbuster. It
Well,
only
and this
took
is what-
longer for Toys R Us to go out of business.
Yes, exactly. And same thing with fucking all those things where like they go, oh yeah, no, we'll survive. Like no, bitch, no, you want digital fucking media and digital fucking sales are going to outlast you in the long run.
People are always going to look for the cheapest thing they can.
Well,
That's
and
just
Well,
this
what-
is-
online
that's just-
retailers
this
Online
is
retailers are the other side of the coin. The reason I brought up Target and Walmart, why are you going to go exclusively to Toys R Us for the sake to buy a toy or a video game when you can go to Walmart or Target and buy your groceries, your toys, your video games, and everything else right there in one spot? I mean, it wasn't a viable business model as things change.
because
and
nigga,
that
I am
started-
fucking cheap.
Hey,
I have 3
dude,
fucking
you can't
kids.
say that
I'm
on
not
the
You'll
gonna
get a
spend-
Dude, you
Oh,
can't
I'm
say that
sorry.
on stream. You can't do that on stream.
Oh,
We're gonna
yeah,
get fucking
I
yeah,
said
sued.
the algorithm will
nibba,
screw us.
nibba
Yeah,
with
it-
2 B's.
YouTube doesn't give a shit. They will nuke us for that. You
Oh,
can't. You can't
Jesus.
say it. You
Yeah,
gotta be
So,
careful.
Unfortunately.
My lightly darkened skinned friend, how
I'm
are
just
you
saying.
going to expect me to spend more money to do this when I am buying groceries when I have 3 little heathens? But no,
Well,
I
because it's largely the same price.
The
Like,
long
that
and short
has-
of it is, guys, and we're getting too hung up on this because we still have one more topic to talk about tonight, and I kind of want to get things moving along. We're coming to the end of our stream here. We're actually going to head overtime here. But the long and short of it is, this move by Disney is not at all unfathomable. It's not at all unforeseeable. Sales for books have been getting worse over the last 6 years, over the last 7 years.
I'd argue it's inevitable.
It's always inevitable. Like, a shutdown of a business is always inevitable. Marvel has had a good run of it. Marvel has been going since the 1950s, right? At least the Marvel characters have been going since the 1950s.
well, I do have to give it to Marvel because Marvel has actually done something out of their little universe where the whole Infinity Gauntlet, that whole thing, that was definitely a side of a side fucking universe that
Yeah.
you weren't really to expect it from that. And like, they have been creating Batman and DC fucking characters for how long? And then Marvel just said, "Hey man, here's my dick. How you feeling about that?" Oh, you don't like that right face? Well, I'm gonna give you that left face. I'm gonna give you that top and the bottom. And I'm gonna keep smacking you around. Like, DC took it the fuck over, or I'm sorry, MCU took it over, and DC still doesn't know what the fuck to do with themselves.
Yeah. Ravage, would you sit the hell down? Like, honestly, I've got a cat in my lap. I'm trying to do a stream here. You need to sit down. All right? So with that, guys, we're going to head over to the last topic of tonight, which I think is quite interesting. And Shradi, damn you for not being here. Because fuck. This is over from Geekdom. Geeks of Doom, rather. And I've never heard of this outlet until today. Apparently, there is a Critters TV series in the works. And there's a new trailer release. So I'm going to try and bring this up. And I'm going to try and roll this for you guys so that you can hear it. Yeah. We'll have fun with this.
Oh boy.
So here we go. I got to do some fuckery here so things don't get too out of hand.
I'm sure whatever it is, I can handle it. What the? Oh shit!
It appears there are hundreds of hairy balls descending through the air.
When the fuck did Copper Cab get a movie deal?
Oh, I guess
Okay,
every generation
what
needs its troll too.
Okay, that was more 80s than the 80s was 80s. Do you know when the
Yeah.
original Critters was released? I think it was like in 87. 86, 87, I think, was when the original Critter. I was like 3 years old when it was released. And fucking...
If it embraces the cheesiness and the 80, specifically the 80s era cheesiness, I might watch it just for shits and giggles.
Oh
But
my
oh my
God.
god, I'm gonna watch it because it's so bad.
Oh my
It's
god. So here's the synopsis. Critters, a new binge, is a comedy horror Shudder exclusive series that picks up the tale of critters, hairy, carnivorous, insatiable aliens from the beloved 1980s film franchise pursued by intergalactic bounty hunters. The critters return to Earth on a secret mission and encounter Christopher, a lovelorn high schooler, his best friend Charlie, his crush Dana, and his mom Veronica, whose past will come back to bite them. Who will survive and who will be eaten? So the original came out in 86. Why are they just now coming out with a television series? And why are they coming out with a television series? And what the fuck was with that Mission Impossible style drop down in the trailer?
I don't know. Honestly, there might actually be a niche market for this. I hate to admit it.
No, I
There
will
really
watch this.
might.
I will watch this if I can watch it for free. I am not going to pay to watch Shudder. I don't even know
There's
what the
no way
fuck
in hell I'm
Shudder
paying
is.
for it.
No, Shudder is terrible. Shudder has to be terrible. I don't even know what it is. Here I am shitting on it. I don't even know what it is. It's on
I'm
network
not gonna lie,
television,
though,
isn't it?
I am laughing. I have no idea. Shudder. I know what Chiller is. I think Shudder's. I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend to know. All I know is
I just
I'm
want to know what
laughing,
the
but at the
fuck it
same
is I
time,
just watched.
I'm so horribly intrigued. Like, I'm laughing, but I'm terrified at the same time, but not for the right reasons. Like, what the fuck was that?
Herpicus. Visible confusion.
Yes,
I mean, honestly, to me, this seems like a fucking PG rated
Is the
Tara Reid
biggest
fucking
and
crucial
okay,
plot.
so it's a streaming service.
Is it free?
Let's see. You can get a free trial.
Oh, fuck that.
Join free for 7 days. Yeah, I'll join free for 7 days just to watch fucking Critters. Oh, hey, look at this. Plans starting at $3.99 a month. Let's see what the plans go for. I just want to see what the fucking
Do they
plans
have
are.
anything better than? Do they have anything better than Critters? I mean, it looks funny. It does look funny just because again, every generation needs its own troll too.
Yeah, I don't know what. You know what? I'll do a little more research when we're not on stream and I'm not giving out any personal information. But
Yeah.
You know what? I
I'd-
will take this free 7-day subscription just to binge watch the Critter series. I will do it just to watch Critters.
I'll watch it just because I would actually really
If-
like to review it.
Because this looks like an original series for Shudder. If it is as entertaining as it looks retarded, I will watch it. I will stream it and I will watch it. And if it's as good as if it's as enjoyable as I think it is, I may even subscribe to Shudder just to watch more of their original stuff. Because holy crap, this. Let's be honest. This looks like it is.
It looks bad.
It looks bad.
It looks so bad.
But
I love it.
it looks like it's true to the original stuff.
It's not as
Voice.
bad as I thought it. It's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like there's bad and then there's good bad.
Voice
They
of
can make
one
a
in the
movie about
chat.
a homicidal tire. And
Yeah.
I'll give it a chance.
Voice of one in chat says burn Hollywood to the ground for this betrayal. It looks faithful to the source material, all right? It looks faithful to the source material. That's all I'm
Yes,
going to
it
say.
does look like we'll get some good memes out of it, Herb.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, guys. So we're running overtime. I don't think we're going to get much discussion out of this. There's the trailer. We don't know anything about the show yet. What the fuck did we
trailer
just
says it all.
watch? The trailer says it all. I'm gonna make my endorsement. At least get the 7-day trial just for Critters, the new binge.
Oh,
All right,
I don't
ladies and
think Ace is
gentlemen.
gonna be watching it.
I don't think so either. But we're gonna roll on out of here. Thanks for watching. So Ace, got any place where we can find you? Tell our
Nope.
audience. All right.
Nope. I'm a fucking slum that just shows up in places.
All right. So we've got our new resident slug Ace. Hopefully we'll be seeing Mad
Well,
Dodge sometime soon. Farty, hope
That's good
you're
'cause we lost Farty.
yeah. Farty, I hope you're doing well. Come back for tomorrow night's drinking game.
Hope the drop bears didn't get you.
Right. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching and stay metal.